The 2022 CDC Clinical Practice Guideline for Prescribing Opioids for Pain can help you work with patients to make decisions that prioritize their overall well-being. Find trainings, tools, resources, and more at cdc.gov/opioid guideline.
Hello, EggChasers. It's the EggChasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby that doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. Back in the rugby dungeon, as we are, 52 weeks of the year. Yeah, that's right. If you're new to the podcast because you've got a sudden intense interest in rugby with a World Cup looming, we're here every single Monday morning. No other rugby podcast can say that, and we've been doing so for very nearly 10 years. Thank you for listening. If you want to repay what you think is an entertaining podcast, hopefully, then you can do so by hitting subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Go into patreon.com/EggChasers.
And YouTube.
Yeah.
Definitely YouTube.
Thank you very much.
There's lots of very good content on YouTube. So, yeah, definitely check it out.
You are going to make some money if England keep on losing weight.
As I said last week, misery loves company.
Doesn't it just?
Yeah,
you must be delighted.
I'm in a quandary.
Yes, Freddie Stewart, miss that tackle.
Very much not, sadly. That's JB.
Hello, Tim.
Who's got his feet out ready for OnlyFans.
That's right.
You've gone for dirty souls on this one. Is that a sub-fetish?
It is a sub-fetish. I've been wandering around my house tidying up. So it's quite messy on here.
Well, JB's joining Phil's joining in as well. He's got the Birkenstocks off.
I do.
Oh, very good.
Wearing Birkenstocks today. As I walked out of the house, I kind of thought I looked like a slightly sporty homeless man today in this pretty scruffy get-up and Birkenstocks.
Well, even in the depths of winter, that's one thing about Pacific Island rugby players that play in the Premiership. They always wear flip-flops of some description.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I'm guilty of this too when warming up, always wearing vests. Always wearing vests.
You love a vest.
I love warming up in vests. The colder it is, the more the vest comes out.
What's the best vest you've ever owned? Was it the Sam Burgess?
Sam Burgess.
Yeah. But I tell you what, Gloucester have got their 150th year this year, and I'm tempted to get a Gloucester 150th year vest. So I'll put out some feelers, see if I can nab one from somewhere.
Nice.
That'd be cool, yeah.
But the best one I've seen recently, and I couldn't buy it because it was not available, because I wanted a nice vest to go away with to Barcelona. And the best one I could find was the Racing one. Nice dark blue, no other writing on it except for that beautiful badge, and had a tiny bit of orange trim.
Nice.
It was
nice.
so nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
In fact, in terms of stash, is a good weekend because we saw Fiji's amazing kit.
It is good.
Ireland's kit is not as bad as I thought.
No, just not
Yeah.
like an Ireland
Do you
kit,
think
isn't
they've
it?
changed the colour since they launched it?
Either that or there was some weird filter or weird lens on the original promo. Because the original promo was like, I don't know, but it was just too light.
Baby green.
Yeah. It was this weird,
It's like Baby Yoda
pastel. Yeah. But, no, it looked great.
It was fine. Yeah, it looks fine.
Yeah.
Although the collar's a bit weird, it doesn't matter. It looks fine.
The England warm-up tops, those white tracksuit tops, are amazing. Wales is like baseball jacket.
I've not seen
warm-up
that.
Are so nice. It's like it's like they're somewhere between a warm-up tracksuit top and a high school letter jacket.
Oh, that's cool. I think
from the 80s.
And I
It's
strongly
lovely.
think that Racing got it right when they made their boys wear blazers to come out.
For the
I mean,
final.
that is just
Do
what
they
you
have
do.
blazers and bow tie? I seem to remember.
I'm not sure they had the bow tie. They had
Camille
a
Blazers
blazer.
and champagnes. They may have had bow ties as well.
Bow ties at some
not
point.
Camille Shat, Phil. There's no bow tie that could fit around that.
No.
Well, I seem to remember it doing some serious heavy lifting, that bow tie strapped on.
Although bow tie would make sense because that is the tradition, isn't it? They play in the bow ties and have champagne at half time.
Let me see if I can find a picture.
Fairly famous Biarritz one was Biarritz would play on a Sunday, but they'd only play after a brisket of beef first and red wine.
Beef and red wine.
Yeah, of course, red wine.
Nice. So here is a picture. Champions Cup final. It looks like the pre-match lineup with Finn Russell included in the team, and they're wearing bow ties.
Oh, amazing! Let's have a look. Swivel.
It's only a small picture.
Beautiful.
That is cool.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is, if you want to make it a bit special, of course, the RFU would never do this. But what happens to the caps? You get your caps after the game or before the game?
After. There's a presentation after the game.
Is there? So I think you should wear your cap for the lineup. all wander out with the little hats. But if it's given after the game, you can't really do that.
It is given after the game because they do a ceremony. They actually show them in O2 Inside Line because they get the family in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And also the RFE was so thick that they'd think that it wasn't progressive enough. If it's not graffiti or something, like, can you imagine them going back to something a bit more traditional? Nope. Has to be inclusive and progressive, so they would never do anything remotely historically linked.
You can get in touch with us at contact@eggchasers@gmail.com as well, and I will be peppering the podcast with some emails. And the first one, actually, I'll mention is just from Aaron Young, who said, and I don't remember you using this phrase, but do you remember using the words "go tell your mum"?
Yeah, quite frequently.
Yeah.
So it's like about people whinging about whatever it is. Just go tell your mum.
Aaron Young says, ever since JB first uttered the words #go tell your mum about a month ago, I really thought he was going to make this a catchphrase and launch a range of merch, such as Budgie Smugglers.
Go tell your mum, Budgie Smugglers.
Since he and Tim have shared their differences of opinion on Owen Farrell, etc. in past weeks, I really thought JB was about to say, go tell your mum to Tim. But alas, it remains in the archives. Hopefully, when discussing England's latest woes, he can bring it back into play.
Well,
maybe.
I thought I'd just plant that seed at the start of the podcast.
I also must have missed that phrase.
Use it quite frequently.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, not recently, but yeah, I did in the past.
I can think of some of your other phrases. Hear me now, believe me later.
Dave Damashak?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And just in terms of Stash, one more email before we get cracking. Andy Hodson, just as we were talking about Stash and French style, he says, love the pod, blah. You've mentioned on the pod a few times about the artistic slow motion, if sometimes a bit one-eyed style of the French TV action replays.
We've not seen that for a while, actually, have we?
Oh, they love a slow-mo. The World Cup is going to be
slow-mo
central.
Yeah. It'll be French production.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's why it's even more of a shame that Roman Ntamak is not going to be available.
Such a shame.
Such a handsome man. But at least they've got Charles Olive on. If something happens to Charles Olive on, that could just...
But they've got handsome men right across the team.
They really do.
They do, actually. They're a good-looking... They're a very handsome team. Yeah, that's a good shout. Who is the most handsome team? I think France may be. Italy, they're quite a good-looking bunch. Or am I just stereotyping them?
You might be stereotyping there. Wales are not a good-looking bunch.
Wales are
they're not.
They really are not.
Wales definitely are not.
England aren't particularly handsome.
They've got a few.
They've got quite an ogreish forward pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scotland
are good, quite a good-looking team.
Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah. Anyway, Andy Hodson says, can I please direct you to the moment, approximately 64 minutes into the version of the match currently available on Amazon, where this artistic style boils over into gratuitous filth.
Yes.
I refer to a lingering shot of Fabien Galtier's suit and white trainer combo.
Yes. I saw this.
Including white trainer socks, which seem to be an homage to Basic Instinct. It could just be the way he's sitting, but his trousers look almost deliberately short.
Yeah. So he's sitting, and the camera angle, have you seen it?
I've not seen the shot.
Like looking almost up his trouser leg. But do you know the way that
how short are his trousers?
Yeah, so he's wearing a suit.
Like never ever wear 3/4 length shorts or just never ever.
No. Well, no,
never.
Do you know where Augustin Pichot wears trainers, but they're usually clean white trainers?
Yeah.
Yes.
These were like technical running like trainers.
He can do what he wants, Galtier. He looks amazing.
Turns out he can. Turns out he actually can.
Thank you, Andy in Doncaster, for that. Right, let's get on with some actual rugby then. And
it's going well, isn't it? It's going great for my two respective nations.
So, all right. So
France being one of your two.
Well, no, we can say I'm half English, half Welsh, and whatnot. So it's going very well.
I want to make sure there's some yin to the yang with this podcast. So let's chuck a bit of positive stuff at the wall, just in general across the weekend. Let's say some nice things, and then we can really get the knives out. Okay. So say anything that comes into your head that was like nice or positive or good about any game or anyone.
Sure. So
Mac Hansen looks good. Mac Hansen looks terrible, but he's a great player.
Yeah.
Thanks for the clarification on that.
Well recovered there. I will say some nice things about England, right? So until 57 minutes, the scoreline was 12-3. And for all the negativity about the end of the game and the way that the score finished, England did manage to stifle Ireland. Now, they didn't put them under pressure, and they didn't have that extra 10% to convert the territory that they had and the mauls that they had in particular into anything particularly sinister. But they did stifle one of the best teams in the world quite significantly. George Ford missed a few kicks, and if he had made those kicks, it's a different kind of game then. Now, I don't think England...
Yeah, but that's like saying if Farrell's kicks had gone to hand, it wouldn't...
Yeah. Fine, fine. But, they were reasonable. They didn't create anything, but they weren't giving much away. The try which they gave away was a bad defensive error. A real bad defensive error. So I guess...
It's a misread between Stewart and Genge.
See, we're sloping towards the negative here.
Yeah. But if they can stifle people's game and stop rugby being played, which is a wonderful tactic in of itself, they could be...
That was kind of my point last week, and I know Borthwick has spoke about it in reference to the opposition, specifically South Africa, Argentina, Wales, who are the type of team that they will try and suffocate the opposition, and it's the kind of game that they're always going to be in it because it's always going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
And England have... Borthwick has explicitly observed that about opposition, and I think they're trying to do it. And they did it with some success. The flip side of it is they have to do more with the ball because they have done the sum total of almost nothing in not just these 3 games, but even going back to the Six Nations, they basically did nothing either.
It's incredible, isn't it, how little they're able to do on a rugby field.
Let's continue with the positives. Continue with the positives. Is there anything else to add? So they've been they're quite effective at stifling good rugby teams.
I will say 2 things which could easily...
For chunks of games, at least.
Yeah. I'll say something which is a positive, but I really want it as a lead into a negative. But I thought England had a pretty good performance out of both Theo Dan, who's a breath of fresh air. He needs to actually have some more game time now. And also Ben Earl. So those 2 boys, I think, in the last 2 games have really stood out for me as 2 guys that are not awful.
So it's one of my... This is going to be a bit negative, but Theo Dan didn't actually play in the last game because Jamie George didn't come off.
Was it the
game before he did come on for the last 20 whatever? But it's...
Did he score? He scored in the Wales game.
Did he score in the first one?
I think he scored in the first one.
Yeah. Oh, did England even score a try in the first one? No.
No, he came on
and
for...
Maro Itoje scored the only try. So England scored one try in the 2.
By the time he got called up for the England squad after that first Wales game, he'd had the total amount of 34 minutes of rugby at international level, I think.
Right. Well, anyway, Theo Dan...
So Theo Dan, I agree with. I'd like to see some more of him. I'd actually like to see some more of hookers not named Jamie George.
Yeah.
Because for 2... So he played 80 minutes last week and 60 minutes this week. We know everything we need to know about Jamie George. He knows... If Maro Itoje is calling the lineouts, he knows everything he needs to know about. Like, we're not going to... There's no benefit to seeing more of that combination.
There's not, is there?
And we've got all of our eggs in this Jamie George-shaped basket, which is being compounded by the fact that he's playing so many minutes, so chance of injury is higher, and that just means the other guy, Jack Walker and Theo Dan, are not getting any minutes. So
obviously, they're not really trusted, but I think Theo Dan has shown a little that he can be trusted. You're right, that is a positive. Ben Earl, positive. Just in terms of other rugby, Keith Earls,
amazing.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
so
the try.
It might not be his first game, but I remember Keith Earls. It can't be his first game because I remember when he first came on my radar was 14 years ago. I'm going to say now when he played
2009.
The first, you have to check the dates. Maybe 13 years ago. He played for the Lions against South Africa.
Yeah, 2009, 14 years ago.
Yeah. So he must have had maybe 2 or 3 caps by the time he got there.
Yeah.
And ever since, he's just been putting in consistent performances.
He was 21, and he was like a bit of a bolt from the blue.
Yeah, so there was 2 young Irish wingers that went on that
Fitzgerald.
tour. Luke Fitzgerald, who I thought was dynamite back in the day.
He's the one that got... He attacked Scoutberger's fingers with his eyeball.
Awful what he did to Scout.
A vicious headbutt.
And then, to make it worse, can you imagine this happening today? The South Africa team came out in T-shirts saying "Justice for Schalk." Like, he was putting his hand in someone's eyes.
In and around the eye area.
And he got 3-game ban, something like that.
Yeah, it's Justice for Scouts.
2-game ban or something like that. Yeah.
It is. Do you know if Luke Fitzgerald is still doing the Left Wing podcast?
No idea. I think he is. Yeah, I think they do. They have different hosts because I do when I've worked on Irish games, I do sometimes on the plane over have a little listen around, and he's still popping up here and there. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I certainly liked him as a player.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So we said some positive stuff. Oh no, go on, Phil.
About Luke Fitzgerald.
Go on.
I quite like. I've not seen a huge amount of him, but I quite liked him in this game. As in, I've not seen a huge amount before this game. But Prendergast,
He looked good.
Yes, that's a good one.
he's
Lock number 8.
yeah,
Flanker.
and Ireland are kind of secretly building this army of massive back rows. So they've got Josh van der Fleer, who's not that massive.
Yeah.
But then Jack Conan's big. Caelan Doris is deceptively big. He's bigger than you give him
Big
credit for.
hips.
Ryan Baird is massive.
Peter O'Mahony's not massive, but he's hard.
Well, Peter O'Mahony is big.
He is big.
One of the things I actually remember from
The World Rugby Awards.
dancing in the Monaco nightclub with Peter O'Mahony and Sia Khaleesi is Peter O'Mahony was considerably bigger than Sia Khaleesi.
Yeah, he is a big boy. He's tall.
He's tall and
If he
broad.
I mean,
Well, it could be the
there's-
tailoring of his suit.
It could have been.
If there's one day I could go and relive again, I'm not saying it would be the one. There'd be others that I'd choose, but that would be probably on the list, and I'd
Definitely up there, isn't it?
it would be up there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Again, going into a nightclub and Peter O'Mahony and Sia Khaleesi were standing on tables dancing.
Yeah.
It
But-
was, and
I got,
like you looked everywhere, and it was, oh my god, it's you. Oh, it's you. Oh, it's you.
I got Phil.
Bonkers.
I got Phil talking to Ryan Crotty.
I know, I was a bit starstruck.
I was
talking to
talking.
Ryan.
He is cool.
He is cool, and I think also he wasn't particularly used to because he hangs around with Bowden Barrett and Rico Ioane
Yeah.
and those boys.
He's not the big name, is he?
He's not the biggest, but I love him because he was the JB phrase. He's the straw that stirs the drink.
Correct.
He certainly was.
Giving Bowden Barrett an EggChasers tie. That was what an amazing moment. I wonder where.
What
in
is it in the bin? Just straight in the bin.
Of course, it went in the bin.
There
in
we
the
go, in the
hotel
bin.
room bin.
Yeah.
There's some.
I will take that as a massive compliment if it made it all the way back to Bowden Barrett's hotel room.
There's someone from housekeeping in the hotel in Monaco who now has an EggChasers.
Yes.
We should have put a track on it. Always regret that.
But yeah, just on the island back. So mentioned there, Conan, Doris, Ryan Baird, O'Mahony's big, and Prendergast. They're all 6'3", 6'4",
And if you
6'5".
put Ty Byrne onto the flank, he's
Ty Bird as well, yeah,
massive.
yeah, exactly. They've like just all of a sudden. I know it's not happened all of a sudden, but they can field an absolutely enormous back row if they choose to kind of rest or change up with Van der Fleer.
Yeah. They're an impressive outfit. I mean, I've never really liked them that much. I find the whole Leinster narrative boring, as you found out. I enjoy watching them lose, but they did exactly what they needed to do, and they are well organised. They are powerful in the right areas. They do things the right way. They're going to be formidable.
They would have. If I could choose a Rugby World Cup schedule as a head coach, I would choose Islands. Start against Romania, second game against Tonga, then they have. It might be. I can't remember which way round, but then they have South Africa and Scotland.
Yeah,
I quite like England.
I think it's in that. Or I think it's in that order.
Yeah, that's
so they get nice two-game build-up. Big one, South Africa. If they win, then they may at that point they may kind of they'll know what they need to do playing Scotland.
Yeah, I quite like Scotland's schedule because they know. So they face off against South Africa.
Oh, South Africa first, Ireland last, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So they face off against South Africa, and if they win that, it's kind of in their hands. If they lose that, they know they've got to beat Ireland. But I quite like that, having the big game. So all their focus for the last few weeks, they've got those two France games out of the way. They're just focusing on South Africa, and even the French games are focusing on South Africa. Then 2 easier games in first Tonga, followed by Romania, and then a bit of a rest, 7-day rest before Ireland.
Got my accreditation notes through for the first 2 weekends.
Nice.
Very, very,
very nice.
At the 2 England games, at Scotland v South Africa, and Wales v Japan.
Nice.
First 2 weekends.
Tell you what, it
Cool,
was good.
that'll be good.
When we went to Japan to watch the game, well, the nicest thing is because we were there for 2-3 weeks, whatever. It's knowing there's rugby on TV every single day.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you're
not
on the right-
Wales, not Wales v Japan. What am I saying? Wales v Portugal.
Yeah.
Where's
Sorry.
Portugal? Oh yeah, Japan's in England's
Yeah,
group.
Japan's England's pool. That is who England play in Nice.
So is it going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
First weekend it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Second weekend Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right. So from Thursday.
And I think France generally play the Thursday night games around France. They go to lots of different places.
I see. It's exciting stuff, isn't it? Very exciting.
Yeah.
So those are the positives. Any more positives?
So I've only really seen the Ireland-England game, so I can't really comment on the...
We're only talking about Ireland and England, because you could talk about France, you could talk about Fiji pretty much being in this game.
Fiji, 2 pushover tries, 2 mauling tries.
Yeah.
Which is something I commented on from the Pacific Nations Cup, that they, certainly in their first 2 games against Samoa and Tonga, they basically went 3 tries up from pushover try, from their set piece, which was, to me, it read as a clear, we are going to focus on this, because it's been a historic weakness. It's almost a stereotype to say it, but it's the data historically backs it up. But it's good to see them focusing, and they have got a massive pack, so that always helps.
Yeah, Semi went over for... Did he get that try?
He scored. He did.
He didn't score. I'm not sure if it was awarded, though.
He did score a try. I've not seen the game, but he did score a try after 50 minutes.
Yeah, these boys are absolutely loaded. I think by the time they get into the World Cup, they're going to be seriously, seriously dangerous. Seriously dangerous.
And that makes me, I said last week that I'm nervous for Wales.
Yeah.
I am nervous for Wales. Because Georgia as well have had a good run in. They've had some comfortable wins. They beat USA relatively comfortably this weekend. And Wales, I think they'll lose against Australia. And then they have to beat one or both of Georgia and Fiji.
There's a funny storm brewing in rugby, isn't there? The way that the junior nations are uniformly getting stronger. I mean, they might not be strong enough to win like they did last time with Japan winning, and I think Fiji. No, Fiji.
I don't. Fiji are definitely, because of the Drua thing and the infrastructure. That's definitely a case. I think it's more. And I don't want to be negative on this, because I take your point, but I actually think it's that there are unions who are so bad at the minute.
Well, this is the
Their
storm,
teams
right?
are so bad that it's not that Georgia are catching up with Wales. It's that Wales have sunk.
Same, isn't it? If you're Georgia,
yeah.
Same. I mean, you just want to beat them. So,
No. I understand that, but framing it in terms of these tier 2 nations are getting better.
Well,
are they?
These are going to be the best Pacific Island teams that we've seen ever, I think. So Fiji, like Phil said...
Yeah, Fiji, they've got to a quarter-final once, didn't they, in 2007?
Did they? Yes.
They beat Wales in 2007.
Yeah. But then Tonga and Samoa, having all these returning players, are going to be really formidable.
Oh, sorry, Fiji also got to a quarter-final in 1987, the inaugural World Cup.
Did they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fair play.
So, there's quite a lot to look forward to from the smaller nations. And then, like you say, Tim, the absolute disaster, which is the major nations. So... Who is good? South Africa, France, New Zealand. Who is bad? Everybody else.
Ireland.
Ireland and Scotland.
Ireland and Scotland are good as well.
The top five teams all on that one side of the draw, as we
New
keep
Zealand,
saying.
South Africa.
You said New Zealand, South Africa, France,
Ireland,
Ireland, and I would add Scotland to that, because I think that's exactly.
I think Scotland and Argentina are like one level below, like kind of.
I think Scotland are better than Argentina.
Everyone else is awful.
I would say 6 teams are good. Argentina are the best team from what we've seen. The best team on the other half of the World Cup draw.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's those 5, and there probably is. I think Ireland, France, and New Zealand, based on what I've seen over the last 18 months, and probably New Zealand the last 12 months, but they're the top 3, and probably Ireland, France 1 and 2, then New Zealand. Then you've got South Africa and Scotland a drop down from them. Then you've got Argentina a drop down from them. And then it is everyone else competing to be who can be the least worst of the teams that are supposed to be good.
And it's so interesting as well. I really want them all to be bad. I mean, if someone asked me, I
love how you get excited for people to lose.
Yeah, I was in it's called Box Live in Manchester. So I was going to a 40th birthday party. So I met my friend there. So me, surrounded by footballers, trying to watch this game, and my friend comes in, Victoria. She says, "Who do you want to win?" I was like, "I hope they can both lose, but I can't quite work it out. I would love them both to lose." But yeah, England were playing in Manchester. Well, sorry, they were showing the game in Manchester. I counted something like 32 screens in Box Live. Only one of them had rugby on. Everything else was football. It absolutely ran with football fans.
Of course.
So we managed to watch it for about... Trying to explain to someone how the laws of rugby work and the intricacies of a scrum in a packed Manchester pub when United are playing is near enough impossible.
Yeah, good luck.
No
good
interest
luck
in
trying to do that
whatsoever. I did have a weird experience though. So we were sitting there, and a guy starts talking to me, and I feel awful saying this. Really, really nice guy. Really enjoyed his company, but I'm certain that he knew me.
Oh, really?
From the podcast.
Really?
He started asking me questions which were very, very precise to things that I've said on the podcast.
But didn't actually say, "Oh, it's JB, isn't it?"
Yeah. But at one point, he did say, "Oh, is that through the podcast?"
Did he?
Yeah. And then I sort of clicked and then didn't say anything else.
Oh, well, hello to that person. Introduce yourself.
By the way, lovely bloke. We had
people that listen to our podcast always are. When you go around these grounds, and my email inbox is rammed full of people that are inviting me to stag do's that are tied up. In fact, there's
one in Toulon, isn't there?
There's a stag do in Toulon, which in that week building up to Nice, I may well drop in on those boys.
Definitely.
That would be good fun.
Among others. So yeah, contact eggchasers@gmail.com if you are going to be at the World Cup in either, Marseille, Nice, Lyon, Paris, and yeah. If you're going to be at any of those, let me know. And maybe a little demi. Or several.
So, one or two.
Yeah. Daniel Connolly emails contact@eggchasers@gmail.com. Right, enough positivity, lads. He says, here's one final positive from Daniel Connolly. He says, England repeatedly play better with 14 or fewer men.
I was actually going to make the positive of, England are getting lots of practice of playing with 14 and fewer men. And it was actually in the Wales game, it was only really when they went down to 12 men that they started crumbling. So yeah, I guess that is a kind of weird backhanded positive.
And I guess it backs up what we talked about this time last week, in that England seems so stifled by the way that, and I don't know what's behind it. I think you sort of have to level it at the coaches.
It's a clear tactic.
You kind of have to level it at the tactics employed, but they demonstrated again against Ireland that when they stray from the prescripted script, they look better than when they try and employ the game plan that they're sent out there to employ. That maybe that's the players just executing it badly. Maybe they need a little bit of a rethink and just roll the dice.
So I think there are two things at play. One, exactly as you say, the players have been executing so badly. In the two Wales games, they could not look after the ball in contact. This time, they could not look after the ball in contact. The breakdown was made a bit of a mess by England being repeatedly late to the breakdown and not securing their own ball.
Shocking.
Yeah, it's shockingly bad.
They are shocking.
It was also made worse by... It is a clear tactic to kick all the time, and there were so many bad kicks that were just 10-15 metres too far, that meant Mac Hansen or Hugo Keenan or James Lowe were just catching it with no pressure on them, and they've got time to either get a pass away or put in an excellent, much better return kick.
I am a fan of the kicking game, right? Huge fan of it. It's what you need to be doing to establish your territory, win rugby games, and that's backed up by some pretty solid evidence as well. But the kicking game that England are employing is stupid. It's low quality.
Yeah,
and a team that are not even attempting to execute a kicking game in Ireland are out executing them at their own game. That is how bad it is. And to make it worse, I don't know if you noticed this. Fair play to him for saying it, because it's not something you often hear in comms. But at the very start of the game, Simon Zebo said, "This England team, they don't look like they don't care." He's talking about their body language.
They were walking. Walking for him.
It's a disgrace.
There was the first try, which was England defensive error. It was really well taken. Lovely pass from Van der Fleer to Omani. Nice finish from Omani to Aki. It was a nice try, but it was sloppy from England. And the point was made that Ireland, next job, all sprint back, everyone's in position, ready for the next job. England are like ambling around the pitch, not knowing what they're doing.
There's no leaders there. It's shocking to say that, but there's no leaders. Courtney Laws is a very laid-back individual, leads by example. But sometimes you need a bit of fire. You need someone to be shouting at the boys and, just do something. Just do anything. I'm beginning to hate this England team, which is a strange thing to say because I actually like the individual players. I like how they play for their clubs. And as players, I'm very supportive of the players. I kind of don't want them to lose because I quite like them. But as a group, you're looking at one of the most privileged set of rugby players you've ever come across, the world's ever seen. And they're acting like children. Like, they're just not doing anything right.
I don't like you using the word privileged. I don't think even you like you using the word privileged.
Oh, they are. They're so well looked after. Okay, probably 5 years ago, it was slightly better. Like, before COVID, that's probably peak time.
They're back at the Lensbury now rather than at Penny Park.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, isn't
They're
it?
having to slum it.
It is tough up at the top. But, the best players in England are still looked after remarkably well compared to almost every other rugby player that has ever lived at any other time. So, yeah. They just don't seem to appreciate it. Like, you watch them run through their moves. I was watching they had an attacking phase early in the second half. And they're kind of sort of half running onto the ball. There's no pace.
There was a weird one in the first half where they get set up. Ben Youngs is trying to marshal them to do just a 1 out carry. He's trying to get Ellis Genge into a position to do a 1 out carry.
The tantrum he's having.
10 yards out from his own 22 in the first half, just a right-hand pass. And Genge just isn't getting in position, and Ben Youngs isn't getting in position. No one's coming to support him.
It was worse than that, because this was the one where he got counter-rucked, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you look at Ellis Genge, and his body language is, do not give me that ball.
Do not give me that ball, yeah.
Like, where is the animal warrior leader that we're led to believe that Ellis Genge is?
But there was no one else.
He was awful.
But there was no one else offering it. So Genge did have some good runs.
He had some good carries.
Yeah.
He was,
that was a poor one. But no, this is to a bigger point. I wonder, I don't know, am I making this up? Do you think this squad, for exactly the same reason you said, I don't think they really believe, they might be saying things as a group about, let's do this, but exactly body language and attitude at times, it gave the impression they don't believe in this.
They are saying that they are all Charlie Ewells, and what I mean by that is they say the things. They are live action LARPing, right? They are pretending to be world class athletes when they are not playing like it. I would get rid of them.
But the margins at the top level, we know a few percent is the difference between getting panned and being competitive. And if there's a little doubt in what they're trying to do, and even if they're not saying it out loud, but they're all thinking it, will there come a point where they do like what Martin Corrie did in 2007, where they got panned by South Africa, and then Martin Corrie walked into Brian Ashton and said, "We're not doing this anymore. We're in charge now."
Like the France in 2011, under Livremont.
Yeah, so there is another.
Could that happen? Do you think
there could be?
It could do, but it depends what's going on in the back, because it looks like there were times in that game, exactly as we just said, where it looked like there was something fundamentally wrong because the players looked as if they don't care. And these are professional athletes; they clearly do care, but there's something going wrong.
So, here's an analogy, and I don't know if it works perfectly. It probably works terribly, but I'll give it a go. So, F1 drivers allegedly are not as fast once they have kids because they don't want to take
the risk.
And it's the same with the RAF, right? So at the RAF, when you need fighter pilots or you need bomber pilots, say, to attack dams wherever they may be, you don't really want 45-year-old family men. You want 21-year-old lunatics that will fly underneath telephone cables and that kind of thing. And I think there's a certain element of that with rugby. Like, they don't necessarily have to be the best player, but England need a mixture of the experience. Owen Farrell would be a good example. But, in the back row or something, the example of the Ben Earl setting is the only one I think of with any merit. You need more Ben Earls. You need more younger lads who are well, this is my opportunity. Let's just go balls out to the wall and see what happens.
Well, I liked Ollie Chesham, who's obviously been out for, he's a young man, been out for a while, came on, I can't remember who it was on, but he made a great hit straight off the line. It was that's the energy they need. When Ben Earl went to 8 in both games, that's the energy they need.
Yeah, Ben Earl looks like Billy actually carried a lot, but he wasn't effective. I kind of think that's a fitness thing, and anyone questioning if Billy wants to be there or not probably got the wrong guy, because he does.
Okay, so on individual personnel, I'm not saying we can't have a discussion about any of them, because actually there's some I would like to have a chat about, but I almost want to stop short of really going too deep on players, because I think this is system.
It's
exactly as we said.
It's something deeper.
It's like we said. Like I said on the last podcast, let's stop talking about which fly half plays for England, because because as we saw, everyone was clamouring for Marcus Smith, and what do you know? Marcus Smith doesn't look good when he plays this type of game plan. Then when Owen Farrell he's going through this whole shenanigans, a load of people started saying, "Oh, this is the best thing for England because now George Ford," and it makes no difference.
They need. Well, I'm just going to be repeating myself from previous podcasts, but I think I was right 2 weeks ago. They need a different atmosphere where lads feel threatened for their place.
But that is not going to happen now.
It's not.
Or they need to wait until their names are officially written down on that 33-man squad, handed into World Rugby, and then they can have a look.
I would open up.
Then they can just go, yeah, lads, we're not doing it. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to play ball.
So difficult now, because I would open up the squad again. I would open up the squad and bring in new personnel. I mean, the idea... one of the big mental hurdles that England have, and this links to Owen Farrell, is that there's a lot of attitude that, do you know what, it's okay, Owen will save us. It's okay, Billy will save us. It's okay.
You don't know that.
Yeah,
you're totally
you do.
guessing.
Yeah, you do. Well, yeah, because look at the selections. It's okay, Manu's back, that kind of thing. And this is prevalent in England. Manu's not been a world-class rugby player for 6 years. He might have had one good game in that time. Why is he wearing the England 12 jersey over every other 12?
Go on then, name one.
Seb Atkinson for Gloucester. Play him.
Come on.
Well, why? Who Wales played? They've played Johnny Williams. They've played Grady. They've played Llewellyn.
Joe Roberts.
Yeah, they've played everybody. They've played North. They're just looking at everybody. Like, to say Manu's coming back. Like, find me somebody else, anybody else.
He's looked all right in the Premiership, to give him credit.
He's looked okay, but he's not world class. He's not looked much better than...
No, England don't have a world class 12.
Well, they might do if
or anything remotely approaching one. The closest they've got to a world class 12 is Owen Farrell.
No.
Ollie Lawrence.
I'm not calling Owen Farrell world class 12.
Ollie Lawrence.
It's actually Nick Tompkins, right?
Well, yeah.
But that's another one that Wales...
Chris Harris.
Yeah.
Chris Harris, Johnny Williams.
Yeah. No, what have you done? What have you done? You're so stupid.
Just to loop back to the point. So I was making a point that England... So first half in first 60 minutes in every single game has looked awful.
Dreadful.
Which is a combination of tactics, which are dull tactics, executed badly.
Correct.
As we said last week, not the week before because they were dreadful for the whole 80, but last week and this week, when things change and they have to play, they've actually looked better. Now, I do wonder, because of what I said before about Borthwick saying the teams that will just be in the arm wrestle for the last 20 minutes, maybe that is a deliberate tactic that you've just got to be in the fight for the last 20 minutes, and that is the only time you'll take the shackles off. If you're within one score of your opposition with 20 minutes to go, back yourself to score 2 tries or a penalty and a try, 10 points. That's the only thing that kind of explains what's going on with a framing that allows me to be optimistic about it as an England fan. Whether that's going to be a successful tactic, probably not, but maybe that is a deliberate tactic. And to play that, I think you might start to see, using the Eddie Jones vernacular of finishers or the Harlequins vernacular of game changers, something like that, where you have Ben Earl on the bench, Marcus Smith on the bench.
Flow modifiers.
Somewhat. Danny Kerr on the bench.
Genge, Dan.
Genge on the bench. Theo Dan on the bench.
Sinclair on the bench.
You could even have Earl and Ludlam, someone like that, particularly if you have Laws starting.
Ludlam would make a big difference, I think.
Or George Martin starting, so you've got some versatility within the starting 8. So I can really see that. Do I like it as a tactic? Probably not. In the space that Borthwick has had, is it a workable? Is it an achievable tactic? Maybe they can get it working. Do I think England are going to win the World Cup? No, absolutely not.
What I don't understand about this England team is how does it intersect with what Steve Borthwick has already done and achieved? So we know what his style is, and he'll tell you openly in a press conference. He'll go breakdown, defence, set piece, all of which look awful. Now,
So the line-out looked better this week.
Line-out was all right.
but he's going to be the best guy on the planet for lineouts.
Yeah,
He's
but
not going to be good.
It was all right, and you're up against an international team that are trying to stop you from doing it.
Yeah, but that's why you get the best guy in the business.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I don't think line-out's a problem. Other areas,
Well,
Yeah, line-out last week was it was made good because of
let's put it this way.
Wales' poor throw-in.
For Leicester to do what Leicester did, their lineout had to be pretty much the best in the Premiership at producing point-scoring opportunities, which is what it was, which is why they won the Premiership. Now, if Borthwick wants to succeed with his Borthwick tactics, he needs to not just to be good or competitive, he needs to be dominant. So that doesn't exist.
Well, so just on the line-out, line-out this week was good. I just looked at the stats. So England won 12 out of 12, 100% on the line-out, and they also disrupted, so they spoilt 3 of 19.
Yeah, can I just add to that, though? There's winning a line-out, and there's what you do subsequent with the line-out. So they had 4 mauls, and this is like the Borthwick. So you win it, you need to maul it, and the mauls all failed.
What you got to remember, yes, they did, but they're up against the world's number 1 team, so they don't operate in a vacuum. If it was just like in training, they'd be trundling it over every try.
I definitely, I do see what you're saying. There's 2 teams playing, but the Borthwick style does not require you have one set of tactics for this team and another set of tactics for another team. It requires you have one set of tactics which works against all teams.
Well,
so it can't really.
I'm going to
get away with that.
I'm going to repeat what I said last week, which is basically you need the threat. You need multiple threats for any one threat to actually be effective. And when the opposition know you're going to kick, and when the opposition know you're trying to win penalties to kick to the corner to then maul it, it makes it much easier to nullify.
Yeah.
The second you have different threats, then suddenly some of the Irish back rows don't stick their head into a defensive maul because they're like, actually, we need to be wary of this move, that move.
I mean, I'm 100% with you on that, but that's just not what he does.
No.
So he needs to be absolutely spot on at the things he says he's going to be spot on, and they're just not. So, like, now, if they did nail down the set piece, the maul, ironically, set piece maul defence, they might actually start playing a little bit better, and that ability to play better might actually open up the opportunities in the set piece, the maul, so on and so forth.
One of the big concerning words, I think it's come up. I think you've even mentioned it here, but one of the big concerning words that sort of summarised England at the weekend against Ireland was slow.
Yeah,
they look cumbersome,
really slow. And it's everything because it was so prescribed. Like there was one in the first half where England won, good line-out ball, went off the top. I think it was Manu who crashed it in. Through the middle, got front foot ball, and instead of going fast and attacking the edges because Ireland, they've been pushed back and they're a bit disrupted, they just played it back. George Ford, prescribed move, he's in the pocket and he does a spiral bomb. And it's like, you've got precisely what you want. You've got good attacking front foot ball in the opposition half. Don't do the prescribed thing. Do what's the best thing at the time.
Yeah.
Which is what even that pushes me down, though. Borthwick has got a tactic which is something along the lines of 60 minutes we're going to kick almost everything. We will just kick
regardless of quality of the ball, like you said.
Regardless of whether it's
good ball. Do we just kick rubbish ball? No, just kick it. Good ball, bad ball, kick it.
Yeah, there was one where Ireland kicked deep to Anthony Watson. Anthony Watson gets a clean catch. He's got Freddie Stewart with him, and he's got open field in front of him, and the first thing he does is not look for space, he's not start accelerating, it's not a pass to Freddie Stewart to move people around. The first thing he does as soon as he catches the ball is he signalled that he's going to kick. That was it. And that is like, you've got one of the world's best attacking runners, and if he signals, his first movement is to signal to kick, the defence know precisely what is going on.
Crazy, isn't it? But there again,
it's a clear tactic.
That knows exactly what Steve Borthwick wants and has been successful.
Yeah, this is why. So they're executing what
the clear tactic.
So maybe actually all the talk of it needs mutiny and they're not happy with the system. Maybe that's totally wrong because maybe
they're very happy. Maybe everyone's wrong.
They appear to be dutifully executing what looks like quite a naive game plan.
Yeah, but maybe it is like they've only got a short window of time. They can't do a complex game plan just because of the time constraints. They've not had 4 years to build to this like most teams. Therefore, they have to go simple. And teams have won World Cups with simple game plans. I suppose
Erasmus went simple 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's so
they had the personnel to bludgeon teams.
I'll give you an example of some smart selection, which I don't think we're going to see from Steve Borthwick yet. But when England saw South Africa, I can't remember if they won or not, actually, but it was at Twickenham. And South Africa came with this unbelievable pack. Just unbelievable. So the option was like, okay, do we put our best props in the loose, or do we play Bev and Rod, who has something a little bit different? And they went Bev and Rod. Because I guess if you're not going to win the scrum, what's the point in putting your best scrummagers on? Put on your best all-round rugby players.
England won. That was the game when Manu went off injured, and it was Henry Slade, Joe Marchant.
Right, there you go then, yeah. So they went. I seem to remember Rod having a few decent carries too. Now, the England scrum, Genge got an absolute hiding against Furlong. Furlong was miles better. In fact, the whole Irish scrum was miles better. So if they're going to be miles better, you do need to think of something else. Genge got absolutely monstered. He was terrible. Outside of one or two carries. Stewart, for a guy who I thought was going to be a world-class prop at one point, looks like he's completely lost up at this level. Completely lost. Stewart and Steward, they need to be very careful with this guy, because he can do things and he's world-class at things that he does, but the things he can't do, I mean, it's embarrassing, quite frankly.
I mean, both one-on-one defence.
One-on-one defence, defence in wide channels.
Both
changing forward to running backwards.
The Mac Hansen and the Ringrose tries were almost identical, and it is really hard.
That is very hard
when you're trying to defend. But in both of them, I don't know if it's a positional thing.
Because I was going to say you were a winger, but near your own line, you haven't got the luxury of showing the opposite player the touch line. You have to fly at them.
You have to make the tackle as you get to them, which is tough. But in both scenarios, he what looked like overran to compensate either for... Well, my guess is to compensate for the fact that he's not actually the fastest bloke, so he overran, which meant that he was so easy to step back inside, and in both counts, Ringrose and Matt Hansen both just easily step back inside.
Yeah. He's very athletic on his own terms. And what I mean by that is he changes direction nicely, and he is quite fast when he has the ball.
So when he gets up to speed.
Yeah. So when he's at speed, when he decides to change direction at a point of his choosing, he's fine. At a point of someone else's choosing, forget it. Like, he looks level 7, frankly. Now, if you're going to pick a guy like that, because he's got some incredible, maybe world-class strengths, he might be a world beater at some sort of things, but you, as a coach, have got to decide, how are we going to structure our systems to make sure he's not exposed? Because if I'm seeing it, in fact, if we're all seeing it, why are the coaches not seeing it, and why are they not curing that? That's their job.
I'm going to make a statement now which you'll disagree with, and this is a personnel point, but I'm trying to make a broader point. So don't get fixated on the individual.
Owen Farrell, go on.
The person England are missing most at the minute, because of exactly the reason, they're going to pick Freddie Stewart a fullback. So that if you're picking Freddie Stewart,
Mike Brown,
Henry Slade.
A
second playmaker, like we see. We've had the Farrell, Alex Good at Saracens combination. Daly being used as a second playmaker for New Zealand. You have Bowden Barrett. Every team, you kind of look. They have two players who step in as first receiver, two ball players, and England don't have that in the current lineup.
They don't, do they?
They don't.
Although Elliot Daly does do a really good job of that at Saracens. He looked...
But he's on the wing.
And he rarely comes in as first receiver or second receiver.
Well, I think the contrast between England's wings and their work rate compared to the Ireland wings, and I think... I know what you're saying about wingers, Tim, like they don't come in that much, but the amount of work that James Lowe does to help out fly halves and
Mac Hansen was
does loads of work.
On a couple of occasions was actually the first receiver.
The first receiver out the back, crossfield kick for Gary Wingrose.
So he was first receiver off a line out.
Yeah.
He was then also second receiver out the back, and he was the one either doing crossfield kick or the miss pass to create room outside. Yeah. And Mac
that
Hansen,
was when he was the blindside winger. So
Mac Hansen, I was probably, when he first got selected, I was probably a little bit upset that my boy Robbie Balakoon, who was arguably the form winger in Europe at the time, didn't get selected over him. I do really rate Mac Hansen.
He's one of those guys that, like, I don't think he scored this game, did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he stepped inside Freddie Stewart.
I'm trying to think which player it was. But I just remember watching him thinking, Christ, he might not be the guy who's going to score 80 yards, but if you're asking him to make 8 yards, he's got that wiry frame. He's not the fastest, but he's awkward.
His all-round skill set is really, really good. Really good. And he's one. So I made the point a few weeks ago about England selecting aesthetics first followed by then, once you've got tick those aesthetic qualities, do they actually play well? And often, the why surgeons should not look like surgeons argument, often, if you look the part, you don't always play the part. Mac Hansen does not look the part. He's like awkward
really
looking, he's wiry, he's probably 10 kg lighter than you would ideally want him to be as an international winger.
He's 10 kg heavier and lighter.
And lighter, yes. In the wrong parts he's heavier, and the right part. So he does not look, but he is one hell of a player.
He is a baller.
And England would always pick Thokkinasinger over Mac Hansen, but Mac Hansen's a better international winger than Thokkinasinger.
Easily. Well, Chris Harris never got picked. One of the best internationals.
Well, no, I think that's a different one. Nobody was desperately calling for Chris Harris to get picked for England.
No, and they were all wrong.
No, but no one was.
Chris Harris also does look the part.
Yeah, he does.
He's tall. He's athletic. He's not. He doesn't fail the aesthetics test. Someone
to be fair, neither is Johnny Williams. I mean, Johnny Williams is like a poster.
Yeah. Those don't fail the aesthetics.
But they still
test.
don't get picked.
Yeah.
No, agreed. Yeah.
Just on Ireland. Ireland. So, I said a few weeks ago again that it was in relation to the Italy game, but you could make it in relation to any game in the last couple of years for Ireland. They always do more. They always, even when they're not playing well, they'll get a 4 or 5 try win. And this game, I don't think they played particularly well. The first half, the number of errors from both teams. England, if England were trying to bring the game down into the mud, they were successful because Ireland had a load of failures to secure ball at rucks and mauls, failure to clear their lines well, failure to retain the ball. It was just a stop-start game, but they still comfortably scored 5 tries.
Scrum was good though.
Scrum was good.
And it's England's inability to put pressure on a faltering team, which should be really worrying, actually.
This Ireland team, a lot of them haven't played since May.
Yeah. This was them just shaking the rust off.
Yeah. And probably for the point that you made before, Tim, that they're come game 2, so they'll have had 2 games in the World Cup proper, and they'll still be warming up. The first 2 games are their warm-ups against Romania and Tonga, and then they've got to be right for those 2 games. So it's kind of a mistake that Ireland made last time in
peaking early.
They peaked. Yeah. So I actually watched this year in warm-up for this game. I watched England played Ireland twice in 2019. They played in the Six Nations and in the Summer Internationals, and this year they played in the Six Nations and the Summer Internationals. England won twice in 2019. They beat them in Dublin in the Six Nations in the game that Henry Slade scored a brace, and then they hammered Ireland, absolutely hammered them, 50-odd points to 10 in the Summer Internationals. And that was an Ireland team that 9 months earlier were picking up all of the awards in Monaco. They were Team of the Year, Johnny Sexton was Player of the Year, they were unbeaten in 2018, they won a Grand Slam in 2018. They were the team in 2018. Come 2019, they were already spent. Now, they didn't win a Grand, they won 4 out of 5 in 2018. They've won a Grand Slam in 2019, and so you can see they're trying to peak at the right time. Whether that's going to be successful,
burden is such. It's self-made. It might not even be real, but it is real.
It's correlations and equal causation kind of thing.
I can see it making.
It is 9 Rugby World Cups, all quarterfinals.
I'm building this narrative in my head as well, and I'm thinking, God, they've got. Do they lean more towards the Stuart Lancaster chokers that Leinster have turned out to be, losing 4 of the last 6 Champions Cup finals, or whatever it is, 3 out of the last 6, 4 out of the last 6, or are they going to be more like Rowntree, who was successful this year?
Yeah,
more like Farrell, who is. I think the influence of those 2 is more of the gritty, grind it out winners, whereas Lancaster's will be really nice, but not quite do it at the big stage.
Yeah,
which influences them more?
Which is the dominant thought of the camp?
I think when you've got Andy Farrell leading you and Johnny Sexton as your captain, I think
Well, Johnny Sexton's not won a Heineken Cup for a long time.
No, but and then you got guys. Then you got guys like Omani.
That's the guy you want to be talking to.
Yeah.
You don't want to be talking to. Johnny Sexton's got nothing to say on this subject whatsoever. Omani, just go straight to him.
So Ireland, slight worrying. We spoke about Jamie George and all the English hooker eggs in that basket. Ireland have got more depth at hooker. Unquestionably, they have.
Like Tom Stewart would be in the England squad if he were English.
Yeah. And Robbie Herring is very experienced, a very solid all-round player, and Kelleher is a very good player, though he's injured and probably won't see him until the World Cup. But Sheehan has been the boy. Sheehan's probably alongside Marchand and Malcolm Marks. He's probably one of the top 3 hookers in the world right now.
I was thinking, what on earth has...
Montoya should get mentioned as well.
Yeah,
good point.
Where are you going with that? I thought, like, what has Marchant and Sheehan got in common? But, okay, fine.
The other one.
Marchand.
Yes. Oh, dearie me. It's hard. It's really hard being an England fan.
It's great, isn't it?
Profitable, though.
Profitable, though. God, you're making some money. It's going to be fascinating to see how they go. I mean, they can be as bad as they want, can't they? As long as they beat Argentina, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't even matter if they don't beat Argentina.
They will go through the group because Japan are not the team they were.
We should beat Samoa
with their stupid entitled cry faces.
England will beat Japan and Samoa. I'm confident to say that, and if I look silly saying it, fine. England will beat Japan. Definitely. And they should beat Samoa,
and Chile.
80-20. Oh, of course they'll beat Chile. So they're in a quarter-final, and then they play probably Australia.
Yeah.
And I'll take that.
I'll
take that as a shot.
That's a coin toss to get to a semi-final, and then playing what I 100% believe is the Borthwick tactic of 60 minutes try to stop both teams from playing rugby, 20 minutes roll the dice. That could get you through a World Cup semi-final.
It could.
So, just on this,
glass half full Englishman.
Eddie Jones's outburst last week
when he's wearing his fedora or whatever it was, his hat.
Yeah, his
Indiana Jones
hat or whatever it is.
Right? Yeah.
Now, do you know on that same day he lost his attack coach?
Yeah.
We never mentioned that.
Yeah.
So was this just a whole smoke screen so he didn't get any?
Maybe.
Probably. He does. He's quite
false flag.
False flag. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
he is quite adept at the magician's trick of don't look over here, look over here.
And then he said, "We'll recruit to make us better," which is a damning indictment of it. Is it Bradley? No, that's the old second row.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
No, he's the Irish fella.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, it doesn't.
Tim, can you stop saying it doesn't matter? It does matter. It matters that you know these things. Bradley, no. Davis.
No, find it out. Look it up on your phone.
He was the guy at London Irish. What's his name? It's going to bug me now. And the Welsh attack coach. Maybe it's Brad Davis.
Look it up. Brad Davis, maybe? I don't know, whatever. Look it up and then tell us who it is. Otherwise, let's just talk about something else.
Well, speaking of Australia coaches or former Australia rugby coaches who got fired by Eddie Jones, one of them has resurfaced.
Australian rugby coaches fired by Eddie Jones. Okay, which one would this be?
Friend of the pod.
Australian?
He's not Australian, but he was Australian scrum coach when Eddie Jones came in.
Oh, Petrus du Plessis.
Petrus du Plessis. Do you know where he's surfaced?
Nope.
Scrum coach, or maybe forwards coach, of Leicester Tigers.
Oh, wow.
Very good.
So I think it's a temporary appointment, but it's a good appointment.
It is a good appointment.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Good gig for Para.
No, that won't be temporary. That will be full-time, surely. Because the guy who has got the Leicester Tigers job is an Australian and was part of the Australian coaching setup.
Yeah.
And so, as I understand it, I can't remember his name now, but he was meant to be the next Australia coach.
Dan McKellar.
Yes. He may be the next Australia coach. Eddie Jones took that. That's why he left Australia. That's why he's available. And then Power obviously got fired by Eddie Jones, and then he brought him over.
Oh, no. So, Petrus du Plessis has been appointed as interim scrum coach until the arrival of new scrum coach Dan Palmer, when his commitments with the Wallabies are complete.
There you go.
So it is temporary.
Good stuff.
Good appointment for Tigers.
So we've done. I guess we'll have to do Wales next.
We said all you want to say on Ireland. Yeah, they're just in third gear, going through the. They'll be
fine.
They'll be
shake
fine. Off the rough.
They'll be fine until the quarterfinals, and then we can talk about them.
Although Scotland are going to make things interesting in that group. That is the worst group to be in.
Group of death, you might say.
It's
Yeah.
horrendous. So unfair. And yet, well, it makes the pool stages amazing.
I mean, what can I say about the Wales game? I guess having props with a combined...
Sorry, there's one thing I have to say.
Yes, of
before
course.
we leave England. It's only a very quick one.
Please.
Love Ben Earl, as you said.
Yep.
Yeah.
He can't carry on celebrating not straight line outs.
100% disagree. You need more people like Ben Earl who it matters to that much, and less people like Ellis Genge and Sinclair
I totally
and
disagree.
Owen Cryface Farrell and all the...
If he wins a turnover, or he makes a massive dominant tackle and smashes someone into touch, if he does something, celebrate like you've won the World Cup. I don't care. When Ireland throw a not straight line out, you don't celebrate like
he's
that.
learned from the best. He's learned from Mario Toji
Mario
with the
Toji.
hand in the air.
Signature hand clap.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's ideal, but when he's got to carry the enthusiasm load for the other 14 lads, I give him a pass because no one else is doing it.
Ben Earl can do what he wants at the moment.
Yeah, he's the only... Make him captain.
I want to see in that last 20 minutes it's like a Finn sanity type last 20 minutes that England are going to employ in the World Cup. Borth sanity or something. It's going to be...
Borth sanity. It's the most boring, same thing possible.
Yeah.
It's going to be...
We're on a journey.
It's going to be Ben Earl, Lewis Ludlam and Tom Curry in the back row.
Now,
it's going to be nuts.
Do you know, Billy not being there is not ideal. I feel for him. I mean, he will be available later
He
on.
more than likely won't be available for Argentina. I don't think it'll be any worse than that.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not.
But who knows with the roulette wheel of...
Do you know, I don't think it's bad to have that Ludlam Earl code.
No, it's one area where I'm not bothered. And now, I don't like the sort of vindictive way a lot of people frame it, where they go, oh, this is the best thing, like they did with Owen Farrell. It's the best thing for England because now George Ford will get a go. People going, oh, this will improve England. Thank goodness. Please, can you rule Billy out for the whole World Cup? Whatever.
I would leave him
But
at
the
home
point
now.
is, it doesn't really matter in the back row.
Would you leave him at home now?
No.
I actually said last week I probably would too.
Oh, no, but not
now.
because
Not
he got a red card.
Yeah, and not picked and then dumped.
Well, I wouldn't do it. Like if he was, well, there's no one in England good enough for me to actually make.
It doesn't matter. People going, oh, get Zach Mercer in. It's like, well, no. If Steve Borthwick wants to play the game plan he's got, I prefer Zach Mercer personally. I've been calling for him since he was an option, but it's like it's not.
Doesn't tick the aesthetic criteria.
Do you know what, though, Tim? I think it's only half the story. You're definitely mostly right when you say it is the system. But if no one's got any enthusiasm for it, maybe you just need to get enthusiastic lads. Maybe the system works with more because these lads are not enthusiastic. I mean, there's no...
If you want, as we've talked about with Zach Mercer before, when England announced their squad...
Zach Mercer's not the answer, by the way.
If you want to not have the ball for 70% of the possession,
Zach Mercer is not...
no point having Zach Mercer.
Alex Dombrandt is not the answer.
Alex Dombrandt's not the answer.
100% not. But maybe Ludlam is.
Yeah, maybe Ludlam is.
Maybe Curry is. And maybe Earl is. I mean, actually, if you'd have told me under that Mercer criteria, maybe Ben Earl falls into that because his skill set is ball in hand. I mean, he's great at turnovers, but his skill set is ball in hand.
His skill set's also work rate.
Yeah.
He just hits things.
Yeah.
He's so fit and so hard.
He's very good. He's very, very good.
So, Wales.
I'd love to know how he would have got on in the CrossFit Games, Ben Earl.
He'd win it. Win it easy. At canter.
I'm not sure he's doing a 16-minute 5K or whatever time you told me.
15-minute?
105 kg or whatever he rocks around at.
I don't think.
What do you reckon Ben Earl could do a 5K in? If he rocked up at a park run somewhere, what do you reckon Ben Earl would do?
I think just because of his weight, I think he'd struggle to do under the 20 minutes.
So you think me and Ben Earl will be about the same? No, Ben Earl will be faster than me.
No, because he doesn't train for that. Like he'll never do that.
But then I bet he's got a rock solid mindset.
Yeah. But he won't be used to pacing at all. Like he won't run that. He won't know what 4-minute Ks feel like doing back to back 4-minute Ks.
Who would know this? Who would know? Let me look through my phone book.
I guess probably in terms of standard workout distances and stuff that rugby players would actually be really good at that they don't train for, a 2K row. Because that's 7 minutes. They could empty the tank doing that.
I got 7.
But that's 1/3, like as in time wise, it's 1/3 of a good 5K time.
You got what, JB?
7:03 the other day.
Oh, very good.
But I want 6:30. That's what I want.
6:30.
No way.
I will get 6:30.
No, you won't.
I'll get somewhere between 6:30 and 6:40.
Best I've ever got was 6:36, and I got that when I was 21.
Yeah, I think.
And you were training as
I
a
was
university
rowing.
rowing
I
twice a
think
day.
I can get between 6:30 and 6:40. Somewhere in between
mate,
that.
there's not a chance.
I will put a bet on right now. I am
Yeah,
get that.
I'll take that bet because, mate, there's no way.
Yeah, there is a way. There is definitely a way.
There's definitely. Do you know
I can
any?
definitely do it.
Do you know any doctors who've worked in the Tour de France?
No, go on.
There is a way. There's always a way.
Without doping, that's not possible, mate.
Look,
No, of course it's possible, but it's mate.
I mean,
no.
you would have to totally.
will you accept anything under 6:40 as success?
Mate, yeah.
Okay,
that's
done.
incredible
Done.
time.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
That would be. I'd want to see it. I'd want first-hand witness.
I'll do it.
That would have to be filmed. I'm not taking your word for it.
You're not just going to let me take a picture
that
of
is
the...
unreal.
Take a picture of the thing. No,
The difference between 7 minutes and 6:40 is
massive.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it. It's always good to have targets.
Yeah, of course I can do that.
What's the split? Well, you'd have to be doing a split time
Between
of,
1:30... Just...
Yeah, you'd have to be sub 140.
Yeah, sub 140, yeah.
Yeah, 140.
And that's
140 would get
a 140 split would be 6:40.
Yeah, exactly, on the nose.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta-
think, yeah.
139.
Yeah, I can do that.
139.9.
Definitely do
God. That's the worst I've ever felt after any workout was doing a 2K row.
Yeah, it's horrific, isn't it? Actually, I wasn't too bad after mine, which is why I think I'll go faster. And
I'm sure you can go faster. Sub 7 would be impressive. At your age, at our age,
and then you drop the
7's
hammer
very
about
good.
2... I've never even thought about it, but then you drop the hammer about 200 metres, do you? 300 metres? Then you really go for it. Last 200.
Well, actually, one of the big ones is you drop the hammer the first 10 strokes, and then
Then get into a
why is that
rhythm.
then you go hard like a big 10 to start.
Why is that?
Well, because your anaerobic. Your anaerobic stalls are like 30 seconds anyway.
Yeah, rowing...
If you just went full bore, as hard as you can, you can barely do more than like 90 seconds
Got
maximum.
Yeah, so rowing, I know this is a rugby podcast, right? But rowing in and of itself is an absolute art form. People don't think it is, but there's so much to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a joke.
So I just looked up what his time was. So a guy I worked with was full-time rower. He was a rower at Manchester, University of Manchester, and was very good in his days. He's about, I'd say, 6'6".
So he's
Good
here
long
we go.
levers.
Let me guess. I reckon it'll be 5:57.
No, not 5. It was
No.
6:15.6
That's
was
really good.
was his best time, which is
Wow.
very, very good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right, well, challenge.
But he made exactly that point that you do your first, whatever it is, 10, 12 strokes, like full bore, you settle into a rhythm, and then you try and you try and empty the tank right at the end.
Yeah,
if
empty
you've
the
got
tank,
anything left.
but emptying the tank usually doesn't mean you go faster. It means you
Harder.
You
No, you stop
the decline.
Yeah.
You try and hold on as close as you can to your rating. But you're working so hard relatively. The lactic acid in your legs is burning.
You're not
so
giving-
hold it. You're just trying to hold on. You're not trying to have a sprint finish. If you've got
So that's exactly what I was trying to do.
if you've got a sprint finish and you can go faster at the end, you haven't gone fast enough before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah, I
yeah.
completely agree with that. Yeah, so when we got 300, it was like, go harder now, which I could do, which means I've definitely got more. Definitely got more.
Okay.
So, anyway, enough
we
of
go.
that.
That's impressive, mate.
There we go.
Yeah.
Any positives for Wales?
Stash kit's good. Kit is good.
I mean,
both of these first team jerseys really nice.
They are, aren't they? They're finding out a lot about a lot of players.
A lot of players.
I thought that I was like my perspective was like, oh, this is only like third choice guys that they're a load of these guys that now Warren Gatland's got to see him against a really good team. He knows what they're about. But Wales' squad at the minute is only 37, I think. So there's only four of the entire squad aren't going to be going to a World Cup.
Yeah, combination zone in it.
And Asarati and Domachowski,
My goodness.
they're going to be playing. They're going to be getting some game time, aren't they?
It looks like that's
Hopefully not against a top. Well, Australia is the only top team in their pool, really.
Australia is the only tier 1. But
Georgia
then
scrummaging.
Fiji and Georgia. And Fiji have been working on their set piece.
I mean, this is a bad result.
They're not South Africa. So
This
this
is a
was-
real come down to earth moment for Wales, I think.
52-16.
Yeah, it's bad.
Including, was it 2 interception tries? Maybe more? Maybe there was a third one in there?
Yes, so the interceptions came around the half-time mark, or at least one of them.
There was the Jesse Creel one
Yep.
and the Moody one. I think one either side. Oh no, were they both in the second half? Anyway,
Rio Dyer played nicely in bits, I'd say. Disappointing that this back row did not perform.
Just on Rio Dyer, again, another slice of evidence that makes me think something significant is going to happen because of an official at this World Cup.
Go on, what do you mean?
That penalty try and yellow card for Rio Dyer. Just a shocking call.
Yeah, rugby is officiating itself into an early grave, isn't it? There's so much worry about head injuries and perception, and I don't know where it's all coming from, but it's trashing the game. So the solution to the upcoming lawsuits, which I do not believe are a threat in the first place, they're worried about that ruining the game. Well, they're actually ruining the game by trying to, head it off in the first place. So who knows? So
on this point, it was pretty clear, as far as I could see, that Moody did touch the ball and therefore knocked it on, and that negated Rio Dyer slapping the ball into touch. It couldn't have been a South Africa try because of the knock-on. Andrew Brace seemed to think that. Then he was chatting with his TMO, Joy Neville, who she was like, "Oh, it's unclear, I can't really tell." Even though when I was looking at it, I was going, "No, there. Clearly you can see." Anyway, as was pointed out on one of our WhatsApp groups, this is just rugby. You could tell Andrew Brace was like, "I think I've seen it knock on, but okay, the TMO's saying they're not sure, so okay, I'll give penalty try, yellow card." But someone on a WhatsApp group that we're all in made the point that in rugby league they have a clear protocol, rightly or wrongly. I actually prefer all the power basically to rest with the referee if I had to choose. But in rugby league they have, at the point it gets referred upstairs, the TMO makes the call. And that's it. And it all gets
comes up on the
to
screen,
them. Yeah.
isn't it, with a little countdown clock?
Yeah.
but how on earth did you do that without the player's legal representative there?
It's a great question.
It's a good question.
It is a great question.
Well, on that one as well, and now I'm glad it was yellow only. Let me be absolutely clear on this. But Damian Willems for South Africa tackled. Who was it? He tackled high. It doesn't really matter. I think it might have been Rio Dyer even. Anyway, he made a tackle high. Got a yellow card sent to the TMO bunker, and it was yellow card only. Now we don't know the decision for this, but it looked very similar to the tackle which caused all of this shitstorm with Owen Farrell. It looked very similar, and a significant and late change of direction by the Wales player sort of sent them more towards Damian Willems' shoulder. Just interesting. Very little reaction by anybody in the world. And not to say Owen Farrell didn't deserve a red card. I think on balance he probably did. But it's quite interesting with a real life example of when it wasn't Owen Farrell, how
no one cares.
How little anybody cares.
Yeah, I've not even actually seen the incident. No. And I actually searched for it earlier and I couldn't find it. So that is how little anyone cares.
Yeah. Well, it's the opposite to the Richie McCaw effect, isn't it? Owen Farrell is marked as a high shot merchant, so there are more chances of him being called up for it.
Do you know what I did go and look at, actually, on that, was the red card he got earlier in January, because people, including yourself, talk about, we should have got that red against Andre Esterhuizen, and
definitely.
As Phil and I debunked it midweek, that was not a red card by today's standards, let alone
I think
in 2018.
It's at least a yellow card. I could see it being a red card.
I can see it getting given as a yellow card.
Given a yellow, but it wasn't red. It wasn't red.
I think with the players,
the lack of a wrap is.
It was not red.
I think with the players' legal representative there, it's definitely not. It might be a penalty.
What do you mean might be a penalty? With the representative there.
Yeah. There. But the other one was the tackle he got a red card for in January against Gloucester, which, again, when you look at that, you go...
Who did he hit?
Ruben Ackerman, I think it was.
It wasn't.
No, who was it?
Now, I know because friend of the pod, Ollie Poole, has prepared a quiz for us, which that is one of the questions.
Let's not talk about who it was then.
Shall we play the quiz?
Oh, no, I remember that. For this...
I can do it now. I'd forgotten about it.
Do the quiz.
I'd forgotten it, but...
okay, cool. So it's the different players... so anyway, on that, I looked...
Yeah, you made the point and I'll get the quiz ready.
The point. I looked at it again and I go, okay, I can see why red was given, but the Gloucester player was hinged at the waist almost 90 degrees, and Owen Farrell was hinged at the waist about 60 degrees, and it clocked him on the shoulder. It's
anyway. Rubbish, Tim. It's rubbish. We all know it's rubbish. But if you don't bow down and mouth the right words, you're not serious about player welfare, and therefore you should be burned at the stake.
You're not allowed to say rugby's a very dangerous game, and that's
absolutely
that's why I love it.
Mothers won't send their kids there, Tim. Mothers won't, because we're appealing to mothers now. Because that's why young men want to play dangerous sports, because their mothers say. Do you not know?
Right. Have you got a phone on airplane mode or something along those lines? Yeah. Something that you can write something on?
Google Assistant listening to your questions as we speak.
Siri.
I've got my notes open. Go.
Siri, keep your mouth shut and listen to these questions.
Question number 1. Which player has the most red cards in international rugby?
Oh, goodness, that's a great question.
Wow.
Question number 2. Name the 2 Wasps players that Owen Farrell has caused concussions on.
The 2 Wasps players?
Wasps players.
Okay, well, obviously we've both got one. It's the second one.
So if you weren't so one-eyed about Owen Farrell, you'd know this.
And because you are so one-eyed about Owen Farrell, you do know this. Question number 3. This is Ollie Poole's words. I do not condone violence. An awesome fight in Rugby World Cup 1995 led to 3 sending off in one go. Which 2 countries were involved?
95.
95. With 3 sending offs in one go.
I have no idea. 97, 95.
Yeah, I think I know this one. And I'm pretty sure I know one of the players that... I think there's one very well-known person that was involved. If it's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay, next question. I can't remember what number we're on to now. Poole did not number the questions.
Idiots.
Where are we? There we are. Who was the first England player to be sent off in a test match?
Do you know that, Tim?
I think I may do, yeah.
Do you? Do you know which game it was?
I think I do.
Go on. Do you want to put in the game for a bonus point?
Put in the game if you want.
And can we put in who he... Like,
so you know when you try to engineer extra points for yourself.
And maybe who the altercation was with if it wasn't an altercation.
And negative points if you get it wrong.
Yeah.
On those 2.
Perfect.
Because you sound very smug. Okay. Next question. I think you might know this one. Name the South African that Owen Farrell famously did not get carded for. Poole has actually written knocking out, but I think it was knocking over.
Knocking over, borderline legally, definitely not red card worthy.
Yes.
Maybe red card.
Fine, next
borderline red card, definitely yellow card.
And when you take into account his past,
didn't rap.
His exemplary international record.
Yes, and he's a captain of his country.
Yeah.
And a bonus point on that one. JB, you like bonus points. What was the year that Owen Farrell famously did not get
I even
carded?
said it on this podcast.
Yeah. It's an easy one, that.
Okay, next question. Let's go.
Next question. We'll fly through these next ones. Which country has the most red cards in Rugby World Cups?
Okay. I'm guessing that one based on an earlier answer.
Which fly half has had 6 yellow cards? So the most for any fly half.
In international?
International, yeah, sorry, not 6 fly halves in any. And didn't Danny Kerr get 6 yellow cards last season?
Yeah.
I think almost entirely for deliberate knock-ons. And then other than the fly half who has 6 yellow cards, which other back as the worst disciplined back has 7 yellow cards? So 2 people worse than Owen Farrell, unless he is both of those. Answers?
Is this yellow cards you after, yeah?
That is, yeah. So fly half with six yellows and another back who has 7 yellows.
Okay.
Penultimate question. Which Gloucester forward did Farrell have to go to tackle school for hitting in the head earlier this year?
Okay, we know who it isn't.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do. Okay, I think I've got that one.
And
Hang on. Okay. Forward, yeah?
it does say, yes, which Gloucester forward? I seem to remember it being a kind of pick and go, or certainly very close to a ruck.
Correct.
Finally, last question. In what decade was the first red card given to an international rugby player?
Okay. Right, I'll go with that.
Okay. Question number 1. Which player has the most red cards in tests?
I guessed Alassana Tuolangi.
Ooh, it's a complete guess. I went with Lavanini.
I also guessed Lavanini, and it was correct.
Yes!
Oh, very good.
1 point to JB.
Thank God.
Well done.
Oh God, the stress is getting to me.
And I got 5 points from this quiz.
Okay. Including your 3 bonus points on...
including all my bonus points. So no negative marking for mine because I didn't guess the others.
Okay.
But there would have been negative marking had I been smug enough to guess the others. Question number 2. Tim, you can tell me first, because I think JB knows them, the 2 Wasps players that Owen Farrell has knocked out.
Well, no, it was Charlie Atkinson, one.
Yeah.
The second one, I was just guessing, so I guess Gabriel Ogre.
Oh, Dan Robson.
Is correct.
Nice.
So JB goes
said
to
it gleefully
3.
last week.
Poor Dan Robson.
Okay.
Wrong place. What has Owen Farrell got against England scrum halves?
He hates them all.
So JB is 2...
3 points to 1.
God.
An awesome, Ollie Poole's words, awesome fight in Rugby World Cup 1995 led to 3 sending-offs in one go.
Is it a point each for each country, or just 1 point for the right game? Point for each country, surely.
Let's do a point for each country.
That's fair.
So, I don't know. I've guessed England, Australia.
I think in 1995 there was a fight, if I remember. Razzie Erasmus was a key figure in it. And it was South Africa v Canada. I think.
Is correct.
Well done.
Correct.
Superb stuff. 3
Very good. 3-3. Levels it off. Then, this is horrendous. The way that the answers have gone. So
we'll have to put this extra 2 points in brackets, depending on how I do compared to JB.
Hang on. As this is negatively marked, why don't we do this one at the end? Because it could win me it, or it could actually lose it me.
Okay.
Because we're 3-3 at the minute.
So the next one was the first England player to be sent off in a test, but we will treat that for the end. The next one was the South African that Faz famously did not get carded for.
Which we both got the point for. Esterhazen. And the year, JB, I've got it written down.
2020.
2020.
2018.
2018 is correct.
Wow, was that long ago?
Yes. And it was... I
said it about 5 minutes ago.
When we were looking at it the other day on a WhatsApp group, and I kind of made the point that was... I don't think we really knew what a beast Andre Esterhazen was at that moment in time. But now...
We do.
Now knowing what an absolute monster Esterhazen is, legal or not, parking the legalities of it, it's a massive hit. It's absolutely enormous hit on an enormous man. So next question. Question 6. Most red cards.
So, I immediately want to say Argentina, but I've got a feeling it's going to be someone like Fiji.
I've guessed Samoa.
Samoa. What have you written down?
I've written down Argentina, but can I just say, there was a game, wasn't there, with 5 red cards or something? And it was Italy, Fiji, I want to say. So
was that a World Cup game?
No, it wasn't. It was an awesome...
is it international? Is it World Cup?
No, this is World Cup.
Oh, it was all World Cup?
You've written down Argentina.
It's Argentina.
So you'll probably get the right answer for that.
I guessed Fiji. It was incorrect. It's Canada. of which two of them were in that
fight with Razzie Erasmus.
Yeah, so no points for that one.
So my 4-3 up.
Yes.
You won 1 point up.
5-4 up. 5-4 up. Yes, 1 point up. The next question was the fly half question.
These are World Cups, right?
No, so this is not. This is just 6 yellow cards in all competition, all international competition.
Has to be Butch James.
I've guessed Dan Bigger.
That's a good guess, actually.
Did I guess Dan Bigger? I think I guessed Dan Bigger. I did guess Dan Bigger for the petulance. It's not. It's friend of the pod, Quade Cooper.
He's got yellow.
Six yellow cards in tests.
How is it not Butch James?
Good question. Butch James only got a couple.
He only did Reds.
Yeah, true.
And they weren't even Reds back in the day. Just let the boys play. And which other back has 7 yellows?
Ashton, surely to God.
Ashton's a good shout.
I just guessed Alessandro Tuolangi, my first answer again.
It's Brian Habana.
What?
Which one can only assume is
knock-ons, I guess.
Deliberate knock-ons.
Well, I would give him a yellow card for those Sage adverts.
Yeah,
they are a disgrace.
They are so annoying, those Sage adverts.
So, the next one's really difficult, right? Because if it's not Ackerman,
yeah, we know it's not Ackerman.
It's a forward.
It is a forward.
I can't remember anyone of note being hit, so I've gone Ben Morgan, because I can see Ben Morgan might be mistaken for Ackerman. But for some reason I've got Geordie Reid in my head, so I've put Ben Morgan or Geordie Reid. I'm going with Geordie Reid.
Okay. Geordie Reid?
I thought it was Ruan Ackerman because of the fair hair of the player, so for that reason, if it's not Ackerman, I'm guessing Freddie Clark, because he's similar size and shape and hair.
So I guessed Freddie Clark, because I could remember, I was like, I seem to remember it being a bit of blonde or a hint of blonde. I was like, I'm sure it wasn't Jack Singleton, who also has a little bit of that.
Was it Singleton?
It wasn't Singleton.
No.
I guess Freddie Clark.
Wasn't Clark either.
It wasn't Freddie Clark.
Oh.
This is a tough one. It was Jack Clement.
Jack Clement.
Of course. Well, final question in the quiz. But
so am I still on 5, which is equal with you?
5 and 4. Yeah, you're still equal to me. With two questions to go. And I did get 0 points in these 2 questions as well. So what decade, this is the true last question, but then we've got one more to go back on. What was the first red card? What decade was the first red card
80s.
given in international?
I guess the 80s.
Yeah, 89 is in my mind.
So I guessed 80s.
Oh, God.
There was definitely one at the 87 World Cup, so it was before that. And there was Federico Mendes punched on his debut for Argentina, knocked out Paul Ackford, the England lock.
So,
yes.
And Poole took great glee in saying to me that when I guessed 1980s, as you two did, that we were all out by 100 years. So Willie Thomas...
Oh, so I said 80s, I didn't say 1980s.
Yeah. Willie Thomas of Wales was sent off against Scotland for brawling in 1881, and the match was abandoned after 15 minutes.
That must have been bad.
Incredible.
That must have been bad.
So we're back to JB.
You're a point down.
You're a point down, and there are 3 points available for the first England player to get sent off. So I'll tell you what, let me write down your 3 answers.
Okay.
So you say
Lewis Moody.
Lewis Moody.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Samoa.
Oh, no, in 03.
Alessandro Tuolangi.
It's not fair. The extra points that aren't fair. The extra points aren't fair.
So it's negatively marked.
Yeah.
So Tim, what did you write down? Did you put any answers for second and third? Because you.
Well, if I have the choice to or not to, then I won't. I guessed Elliot Daly.
It was against Argentina.
That game against Argentina, but that's the only one I could think of. But then I think maybe there was something about his red card that was significant, and it can't have been the first. Maybe he was the first back, or maybe he was the first player on debut, or something like that.
Maybe debut.
Maybe. Anyway, there was something I couldn't think of another one, so I just went Elliot Daly. But
so, and are you committing?
No, because I'm not going to.
Well, do you know the team, but you don't know who he? It was taking someone out in the air, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember who he took out.
So if JB gets the 3 points, so Tim's gone for 1 point.
Yeah.
He's not got a point. Cocker. So Cocker finishes on 5 points.
Level with Phil.
Here we go.
So JB, you can get 3 points to jump both above me and Tim to win the game. And let me just find the correct answer.
If it's not Moody, I'm done.
So, the year... Do you know what the year was of that, Samoa?
It was...
Sounds about 07 or 11.
Yeah, it was a long time. I wouldn't know the year.
Yeah. Well, cast your mind back to the year 1975.
Oh, you're joking.
Mike Burton.
What a joke.
So JB gets
What a joke.
minus 2 points. So Cocker, you and I both finish on 5.
This is wrong.
JB
There's something wrong with this.
JB finishes on 2 points.
Hang on, Lewis Moody. Let me Google Lewis Moody's red card. I'm sure.
Oh, he did get a red card, but it was the first.
Maybe it was
England
the
player.
first guy at Twickenham.
Maybe.
I don't know. England rugby.
Yeah, Mike
red cards.
Burton was in the second test against Australia in Brisbane.
Oh, for God's sakes.
The Battle of Brisbane in 1975. The first Englishman to be sent off.
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. Yeah, he was the first guy to get sent off in Twickenham. First Englishman to get sent off in Twickenham.
Twickenham.
Oh, well, that's a joke, that is. Mike Burton, whatever. Well, enjoy your win.
There you go. Thank you, Poole.
Yeah, don't send us quizzes, right, from 100 years ago. Anything before, I don't know, 95 is not on.
Yeah, my knowledge is patchy at best, really before 2000, before the millennium.
I just want to say, I'm looking at a list of the Rugby World Cup red cards, and I've said before how the video of the 1987 World Cup, like at some point after 1987, my mum got that from a Woolworths for me and my brother when we had to go in with her to work, and she just put it on in the office, and we watched that all day. The first red card in the Rugby World Cup, and I don't know if you can get it up just so you can see, but it was a Wales lock, Hugh Richards. That's a proper red card. What's incredible is that what's amazing about watching that is the Welsh player punches a New Zealander, and he gets the red card. Wayne Shelford comes in immediately afterwards, absolutely sparks this Wales guy out, like just ends him. And Wayne Shelford gets nothing wrong. The rest basically gone, you started it, red card, off you go. So you got this Welsh player, groggy as you like, getting red carded and walked off, and Wayne Shelford, meanwhile, is just stood there.
Love it.
So
retaliation was okay in those days.
Retaliation was fine. It was, rough justice.
But Shelford knocks out
Wales lock.
Here you go, Hugh Richards.
Wayne Shelford's punch is actually hard to watch.
Okay, so... Oh, yeah, so number 5 is now striking. Oh, bang! Game over. Shelford, the guy's on the floor, dead, and now he starfishes his arms on the floor, and now he's holding his head. That's how you do it. Don't take the law into your own hands, Wayne.
And I wish some of the people that complain about rugby now would look at that and realise how different rugby is now than it's always been.
Do you know the phenomena with the Victoria Cross?
No.
So the Victoria Cross, obviously, is the highest medal for gallantry.
Yeah.
Now, do you know how a Victoria Cross is made?
Is it like melting down weapons? Or
yeah,
no,
bullets.
it is from, I want to say, the bronze of a cannon. And this could be completely wrong. It's definitely from a cannon, and it might not be bronze. I'm sure it is bronze. From a cannon from the Crimean War. And they so this same cannon is still used, and it's kept somewhere, and they slice a little bit of stuff off for each Victoria Cross. And through every single year that the Victoria Cross has been in existence, it gets harder and harder and harder to win. So, originally quite a few were given out. Obviously, Second World War, a lot were given out, but subsequent, you've got to be braver and braver and braver and braver. Victoria Cross is literally the opposite phenomena to the rugby red card now. It started off as like you have to do something really, really bad, and now you can basically do almost anything. They're anti-Victoria Crosses.
the inverse.
Yeah.
Good quiz.
So, anything more from this week? Because I've not seen any other.
We didn't really talk about Wales, South Africa, so let's rattle through a few quick points. South Africa looked really good. I love, and that's with a lot of improvement to make. That's what I think I would find frightening if I was Scotland and Ireland. South Africa will, and they'll need to be, a lot better, and they will be, and they still panned a very poor Wales team. Albeit, from Wales's point of view, it was a backup team.
By the way, second choice locks, John Klein, R.G. Snyman, monsters. Just monsters.
Animals. Their scrum just annihilated Wales. Sia Khaleesi being back on the field at all was incredible, and then to play the way he played for that first half.
The guy that I like for South Africa, who kind of is spoke about, I guess, in South African circles, but not really much on here, is Marco van Staden. And like the reason,
it's hard.
So they thought at Leicester.
It was disappointing his Leicester career, wasn't it?
He never played.
Yeah.
He never played. Got paid a lot of money. Never played, but through injury. And since going back to South Africa, he seems to have found some form. But they reckoned at Leicester that he was going to be the next great thing, and he might still do that. This World
Bear
Cup.
in mind, they once upon a time signed Pablo Matera when he was
very young, where he's 19, 20 years
so
old.
Sometimes they are right. They just don't manage to get the best out of these guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the bench. They bought on Bonombi, Oxenche, and
Vincent Koch.
Koch for fun.
And Moster, and Van Staden, and Vermeulen. Because they're playing a 6-2.
And then Wales goes
their
their bench for bloody... I mean, Nicky Smith's a fine prop, don't get me wrong. He did a job on Leicester, of all teams.
The odd thing about South Africa is they looked so slick in attack. But some of the things from 4 years ago that you would think are like non-negotiables from South Africa, they'll kick their goals and they'll be good under the high ball. They look weak under the high ball, and Libbok has got a kicking issue. In a tight game, it could cost South Africa.
But he can really play, though.
Oh, the boy
he can really play.
And
he excites me.
Faz and Colby can both... Faf and Cheslin Colby can both kick sticks as well.
Well, wouldn't let Faf anywhere near.
Andre Pollard was there watching. He'll be in the South Africa squad before long.
I think you're right. I think you're all right.
Well, that's why they've picked such a weird split. So basically, if anyone in any other position gets injured, 4 scrum halves, one of them is not making it to the World Cup, and certainly not making it through much of the World Cup.
I love the size, I love the balance of the South Africa pack, I love the depth that they have, I love the fact they're still relying on a 37-year-old number 8 to come on, who just is that sort of glue to the pack when he comes on. I just love them. I love them. Peter Steph Toy playing as well.
He looked good again.
Carrying with some strength and aggression.
Yeah. Fills my heart with actual joy.
And Jesse Creel gassed the Wales winger.
Yeah.
Scored the try and then got up like he could do it all again.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a fast man, is Jesse Creel.
He's ripped as well.
Yeah.
I just love...
He takes his conditioning very seriously. Maybe he could do a sub 6:30.
What's the name of that very devilishly handsome, incredibly ripped South African centre from a few years ago?
Surfontaine. Yanni Surfontaine.
And Engelbrecht was another one as well.
JJ Engelbrecht.
Well remembered, yeah. Hot.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, they've got some good-looking boys.
They were pretty good-looking. No, well...
I mean, they're a mixture of good-looking lads and absolute mutants.
Yeah. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah, lewd, not so much.
Kits off, not so much.
Well, I mean, even Etzebeth looks like a gargoyle.
Yeah.
Really, like his eyes are bulging.
You say that to his face.
Well, you can imagine doing when his eyes bulging, you stick it on the side of a church to ward off spirits.
I was on a South African rugby website a few days ago, and they were advertising me. Let me see if I can find this picture. I took a picture of it.
Advertising growth hormones?
They were advertising me something. Here it is. Got it.
His nose has grown.
Got it. Yeah, his nose has grown. So it's a picture of Eben Etzebeth in a vest doing some battle ropes with a big tub next to him.
What?
Big tub of something next to him.
What is the tub?
Well, I was like, that's
Hemo rage?
Yeah, exactly. It's BCAA, it's creatine, it's
nice.
some protein shake. No, it's strong enough to endure anything.
Is it like tile grouse or something?
Yeah, it's like external render.
Perfect.
Make that coin, Eben.
Love it.
By the way, if you want to look good in a picture, do some battle ropes first. There was a picture of who was it? Brian Habana doing.
I remember.
Oh my good
Habana.
Lord! He did these battle ropes and then had a picture taken in his Toulon vest. He looked like the Incredible Hulk. He looked unbelievable.
There was an awesome one. Jamie Cudmore did slam balls.
Yeah, that'll do
video,
it.
And he looked incredible.
Yep, that'll definitely do it.
That's one of Phil's favourites ever, isn't it? Cuddles.
He's incredible. I met him in Monaco. I interviewed him, and he also remembered me in Monaco. And like just the size, I've met many rugby players. In fact, probably the biggest collection of humans I've seen was Toulon when they came to Sale. Like I've never ever seen that the average size of the human was unbelievable, right? But despite that, Jamie Cudmore was still more physically impressive. And with the structure of a suit on him as well. My good Lord.
And that jawline.
Just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So, next week's games, unless you want to talk about any, because I've not seen anything yet of France versus Fiji.
I haven't seen it.
I saw some highlights. I saw the extended highlights.
Fiji scored 2 maul tries, which should be a concern for the rest of the world because Fiji are doing some of the things they don't normally, Fijian teams don't normally do.
Yeah, if I was France, after losing Cyril Bay and after losing Ntamack...
Is Cyril Bay out of the World Cup?
No, he's out.
Has it been announced what's...
I think he's out for like a few weeks.
Ntamack is definitely out of the World Cup.
Okay, fine.
We didn't see Dupont in this game. But
So by 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, but the point
so he'll be there for a quarter final.
Yes.
Okay.
But the point I was going to make is I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him play or any of their real frontline players play again, really, until something is actually meaningful.
Like
Well,
New Zealand on September the 8th.
Yeah,
It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks until
2 weeks on Friday.
the real thing.
Yeah, so...
So have France got a warm-up next weekend?
Malvaca played.
They do. Wow. France play Australia.
Well, next Friday, South Africa play New Zealand at Twickenham.
Yeah.
And there's like 60,000 tickets been sold, I think. Surely they're just going to put out backup teams.
So New Zealand haven't played for 2 or 3 weeks. South Africa have been playing.
And this could be a World Cup quarter final.
Yes. So New Zealand, if they don't put out their first strength team or close to, they won't have played for 3-4 weeks before going into the France test to open the World Cup. So New Zealand kind of have to play some of their boys.
South Africa won't.
South Africa you probably rest. Yeah. Because they play Scotland the following week.
Yeah.
No, hold on. There's an empty weekend before the World Cup because this weekend is like the 25th, 26th, 27th.
Then you've got the first, second, third.
You've got first, second, third, and then you. So
But
that's been confusing me. But yeah.
But even so, then actually New Zealand, it means it's an even bigger gap.
Yeah.
It means it's at least 4 weeks before anyone plays if they rest their first choice team.
Christ, yeah. France put out some players this week. Players that I've not seen really in the warm-ups. Malvaca, Paul Wilhelmsey, who was struggling with injury, I think.
Yeah.
So for him to come back, that's pretty enormous. Francois Cross, Dylan Cretin, players who are great, but we just haven't seen for a little while.
Luku and Hastoy.
Yeah, Hastoy playing is a big deal in my mind. So...
And Jaminet as well.
I like
Melvin Jaminet, from the bits I've seen, he looked good.
Yeah, he's really good. He was...
Although not
thought he was
great...
going to take that 15 jersey.
Well, potentially, because everyone's talking about Jalabert, and I totally agree, it will be Jalabert number 10, but they're sort of going Jalabert and then Hastoy. But when Ntamack's not available to lose, Thomas Ramos
steps up to 10.
That'd be interesting.
I've also seen them late on in games push Dupont out. So it's still Dupont as Dupont passing to Ntamack, but just one out slightly further out.
Kind of like rugby league when the hooker pushes out
with a dummy half.
But I wouldn't move Ramos from 15. He's world class.
Yeah, no. France to me seem like they are building nicely without showing any of their real cards, and that's why I think they are very dangerous. And they're giving lots of people lots of game time.
Again, and master like a magician with the illusion. Eddie Jones, look at this hand, don't look at that hand. Fabien Galtier was look at my trouser leg.
Exactly right.
don't look at my line-outs, piece moves.
Yeah, they are formidable. I love this team.
Next week we've got, you mentioned it before, New Zealand, South Africa. Namibia have their final warm-up game against the Bulls in Windhoek. England play Fiji at Twickenham. Do we just see 60 minutes of rubbish kicking and then try and turn it on for the last 20?
Well,
maybe.
I'm not sure that Fiji are the team I want to kick to, really.
No, not really. But at least it'll test your kick chase game.
Yes, massively.
So that's not a bad one to do. You can see all of the Southern Hemisphere teams are descending on Europe.
Yes,
because Japan play Italy in JB's beloved Treviso.
Now, Italy played Scotland this weekend, didn't they?
Romania. They hammered Romania by 50 points. Scotland host Georgia in Edinburgh, which is not a bad warm-up game with South Africa in a couple of weeks. Portugal host Australia A. Spain in Madrid next weekend. Spain host Argentina.
Nice.
That'll be a cool fixture.
That will be a cool
very
fixture.
cool.
Where, in Madrid?
In Madrid, yeah.
When?
Next weekend. Next Saturday. What are you doing
Sky
next Saturday?
Scanner. Do you know on Sky Scanner, we've had this conversation before, when you search the cities and it makes you wait and says we are searching, they add that in.
Really?
There's no
need. They just
there's
have
no
it instantly.
need. They add it in to give the illusion that there's some work going on in the background. So that it makes you feel like it's the same with those price comparison websites when they have the 3 dots.
Yeah.
Going, we are just loading this for you. That's all. They add that.
You can
they add that in.
Like Booking.com do it where it's like 7 people are viewing this.
Yeah.
Booked 5 times in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Which could be any window, like any type of hotel type of room for that hotel at any point in the next 12 months. But it makes you feel like you've got
almost
to buy it soon.
A few more seconds, getting the best deals.
Exactly.
Thanks, Sky Scanner. So if I leave at 7:50 on Friday, I can get there for very late. No, I don't want to do that one. And then 8, then 6:20 return.
Interesting.
What sort of dollar are you talking for late?
£222 return.
That's not bad, you know.
It's
like
not bad,
at
is
this
it?
stage, like 5 days away from going.
In peak season as well.
In peak season. That's not bad. That.
I want a better time so I can land on Friday evening and have a few beers.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say you need like a Friday lunchtime flight.
Yes, at 7:50 is too late for me. I'm only going there for the Saturday. Is it a Saturday before I?
Saturday. Yeah.
No, you're not only going there for Saturday.
And which is it going to be?
It's bank holiday next week as well. Bank holiday Monday.
Is it going to be the University Stadium? I love that stadium.
It's in the.
It's my favourite stadium.
It's the stadium.
You don't have to come back till Monday. Go on Saturday morning, and then you don't have to come back till Monday because it's bank holiday weekend.
That'd be so good, wouldn't it? I love Madrid.
Let's take this offline.
Yeah. Let's take offline.
Other games, because that would be a really cool game. Other games: Ireland host Samoa. Is that right? In Bayonne, Ireland are hosting Samoa in Bayonne. Interesting.
Ireland are playing in Bayonne.
According to what I am looking at,
or Ireland in camp in Bayonne, maybe.
They might be. Yeah. Chile play Argentina in Estadio Germán Becker in Temuco, which is in Chile. Oh, wow. Chile are playing in Chile. So Chile have not arrived in Europe yet. They're playing in Chile. And France host Australia at the Stade de France, which is a cool fixture on the Sunday.
Stade de France is now rugby ready.
It would appear so. Luke Pearce is officiating that one. One last thing for me, unless anyone else has got any other business.
Go on.
So, I've been watching a few bits of rugby on YouTube. I watched the 2019 England-Ireland fixtures and the one earlier this year, and I've been watching a few EggChasers videos on YouTube. So the algorithm is dialing me into rugby.
Nice.
Well, it recommended me, I've got it in front of me, The Telegraph's Rugby World Cup 2023 predictor with Brian Moore choosing his winner.
Do you know, this annoys me, right? Can I tell you why it annoys me?
I think you're going to be making some of the points that I'm going to make, but yes, you tell me, please.
So The Telegraph employs some of the best rugby journalists in the country, by far.
Yeah.
Charlie Morgan is the best rugby journalist in the country by... well, no, actually, it's Charlie Morgan, there's Alex
Lowe's great.
I mean, there are a handful of them who are really top draw.
Yeah.
But the best in my mind who works at The Telegraph, certainly, is Charlie Morgan.
Charlie Morgan's excellent.
Why would I want to hear what that rambling moron, Brian Moore, has to say about anything?
So... Brian Moore, I always quite liked him because he's so partisan, just on the Six Nations. Like I feel like I probably the timings don't work, but I feel like it's been 25 years of me watching him lose his mind watching England play.
Yeah,
and I quite like that. But this is a video that's been viewed by 315,000 people as it currently stands today, which is quite a lot for a rugby video.
Yeah.
And
it is a lot for a rugby video, but what I would say is when you put money, if you put, because this has happened with me with some Virgin videos that I've done for sponsors of my radio show, which have got like 250,000 views and stuff. When something like that happened, I looked at that as well, looked at the numbers and went, no, someone's put money behind that.
Well, I suspect that is the case.
Because I bet the comments aren't
But
there's not loads of comments.
There's over 1,000 comments.
Okay. Well, there's normally 1,000 comments on my videos, but yeah, that's fine.
So I watched this video. I didn't make it through the whole thing, but I got him going through the groups.
Because you felt you were losing IQ points as you watched?
Yeah. I got through the group stages. I'm not sure in the group stages Brian Moore referenced a single current player or a single recent game in this. And it was like a list of cliches, like, oh, France, you don't know which team's going to turn up.
Well, it's so true.
Fiji will be playing it from anywhere. It was just... So this is one of the...
Wales got passion.
This is probably one of the most watched videos on engagement for the World Cup, like one of the single most watched rugby videos, and it is telling nothing of any relevance to it. It's the kind of video that could have been recorded 30 years ago and just rolled out every 4 years.
Do you know, this is something which Tim talks about when you talk about making mainstream rugby content, which is, if it's not got a name that people recognise, you can't really make it.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about that is, like, the names that people recognise are so irrelevant to the modern game that you make terrible content. So the fact that no one's going to listen to your content unless it's terrible, and then they do listen to it and it's terrible, it's just this self-fulfilling, defeating prophecy over and over again.
Well, we are living, breathing example that that's not always the case.
Well,
in fact, we're sat right here.
Get me on TalkSport then, Tim. You've got
I was going to say, if you're on YouTube and you want some good, relevant, interesting content, go to EggChasers Rugby, because Tim is putting out a lot of good content. And it is
some average stuff as well.
It's quite interesting in watching you work last Sunday when you made two videos, one for if England won and one for if England lost.
You just reminded me with that. Have you ever seen the? It was on. Do you remember the Day Today? Did you ever watch the Day Today?
Yeah,
Chris.
Chris. What's his name?
He got fired for laughing gas, didn't he?
Brass Chris Morris. But the bit where Alan Partridge is explaining the World Cup 94 draw. Hold on. So
all these long arms here, these long signposts, are the venues where the matches will be played. Dallas, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and so on. If you look at me from above, you can see that these are the group. This is the group system. It's 14 groups: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, and there are 4 rounds. There's round 1, the red round, yellow round, blue round, red round again. That's my colour coding, not FIFA's. You won't find that with FIFA, just with me. So that's the basis of it. And as you can see, they get progressively fewer towards the centre. The ultimate goal being the World Cup.
I will stop this in a minute.
Let's take an example. Okay, round 1 is Pasadena. Let's say it takes place in Pasadena between Chile and Paraguay, something like that. Okay, and then we're through to round 2, which is let's say it's San Francisco.
You got to do this for EggChasers.
San Francisco, and that goes through to Orlando.
You have to do it with a tie. You got to dress like
Orlando that. There. Just move those out of the way.
Anyway, this
Where's
is probably boring to listen to. Go and look at the video online. But
Where's
just reminded me when you were talking about someone trying to explain the World Cup with no knowledge, it just made me a bit.
Like no frame of reference to what is going on in the rugby world right now, or even like for the last 10 years. It felt like watching that video.
We should listen to that and then critique it.
We should do. Maybe do that as a Patreon pod.
You don't know which France team is going to show up. Yeah, you do.
Patreon pod. Listen along.
Yes.
Let's do that as a Patreon pod.
But that France cliche, like the kind of people who watch rugby, like every World Cup or every Lions tour, or occasionally catch a Six Nations game, you hear that, like when they're gearing up for the World Cup, you think, I don't know what French team is going to turn up, and it is no longer true. Like
you know exactly what's coming.
It's not been true for the last 4 years.
But the problem is, it kind of is true, because if you haven't won a World Cup, at some point you are going to go out. So like, which it's a semi-final. We don't know.
Yeah, but it's the point of like France used to be a cliche, but it was a true cliche that they would have these moments of implosion and just do crazy things.
There's so much Argentina, or really good scrummaging team, play a very pragmatic style of rugby. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Their scrum is one of the weaker parts of their game. They're a hell of a team still.
Well, there we go. Let's put this in the can and let's get onto Patreon and do a Brian Moore breakdown.
Patreon.com/EggChasers. One of the ways you can support the podcast. Keep the lights on as we get closer and closer to a Rugby World Cup. Let the boys play.
Yeah, boys play.